Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Genshin Impact video. We're here for the new event. It's got a name that I can't remember. The Muddy Bazaar Adventure. This one is set in the chasm. We're going to do a quick overhaul of what you need to know in this event. Starting off with one thing that's very important for this event. You have to have done the chasm stuff prior to starting this event. And it's a bit more procedurally generated or procedural, but essentially to do the very first challenge of the event, you can do the first part of the Chasm quest line. And the Chasm quest line is the stuff of being introduced to the Chasm. So if you haven't done that quest, I advise you do it if you want to participate in this event. And then as we go further into the event, the requirements of doing more of the Chasm is going to become a thing. You're going to have a higher level lumen stone like light bulb thingy, I don't know what it's called, the lumen stone thingy that you like spray onto the purple muck. You're going to need a higher level one of those to participate in the further levels of this event. So bear that in mind when going into this bad boy. Other than that, it's a pretty standard event with pretty standard rewards. You got Primo Gems, Talent Books for Leeway because it's set in Leeway, and obviously the other three materials of Heroes Wit, Mystical Ore Enhancement, and Mora. You'll also get a small introduction quest line talking about Sumeru and a Sumerian researcher as an introduction to the quest, or the event rather. You'll get a quest talking about it, so on and so forth. I didn't really pay too much attention, but it is a bit interesting because it's referencing Sumeru. But we are in the chasm. And as for gameplay, I have experienced it once on a previous account, so the gameplay is quite straightforward. Don't be shocked of the difficulty, which there is lack thereof, but it's not that hard. As per usual, it's not a hard event. Going into it, there's two mechanics that we have to be aware of. Is that we have to defend something, which is this little spire in the middle. We have to defend this bad boy from an onslaught of enemies. It's not that frequent of an onslaught, it's quite a chill one. But you have to defend this thing from enemies. And at the same time, periodically, throughout the run, the purple blob things will spawn around the arena, and you have to use your Lumen Stone to get rid of them. And this is the reason you probably need a high level Lumen Stone, is because further into the challenge, the second tier of the purple blobs will spawn, and thus if you don't have a high enough Lumen Stone, you won't be able to do it. So before starting the event, be sure to go into your inventory, equip your Lumen Stone, which is this bad boy, Lumen Stone Adjuvant. No one's going to remember that last word. Equip that bad boy, and then you can start the challenge, which is this first challenge here. A bunch of enemies spawn, and they'll have a bit of a debuff, or rather they'll have a buff on them, which is you want to get rid of it by just getting rid of the purple muck. But naturally, if you see the enemies glowing purple, they have a buff on them, which just boosts their actual attack as well as defense. So if you are doing slightly less damage than you normally do, don't worry, it's natural, the enemies all have that buff. It's just that if they are standing in the purple muck, the buff is boosted by a fair bit. So just bear that in mind when trying to kill these enemies, that if they are in the muck, they are going to be taking heavily reduced damage. But pretty standard, you have to kill 21 enemies for this first challenge. It's really nothing that difficult. I'm assuming with the further challenges, it's going to get pretty tough if they choose the right enemies to implement. But right now, all we're fighting is Helichurls. This whole first challenge is just Helichurls, so really absolutely nothing to worry about. I'm having a high hope that the event does pick up in difficulty, but listen, it's a Genshin Impact event. The chances are very low. As you can see, we're just doing this one without really trying. Like, obviously I have a jacked up Eula C3 free to play. But still, I feel like they could add a bit more difficulty. But it is what it is. It's Genshin's expectations. What are you going to expect, huh? No difficulty, boys. No difficulty. Pretty standard, though. Pretty standard. Nothing too crazy. It's definitely no Labyrinth Warriors event. But definitely no, you know, Hyakunin Iki or whatever. Definitely nothing that's going to change your world. But, you know, it's still a bit of free gems. A bit of free gemage. And as we're killing the last two enemies here, we're about to get the final rewards. Kill this bad boy with a Eula. Bam. And there you have it. That finishes off the first challenge. We go up to the challenge window. Go to challenge. And there you have it. Well, you have to talk to Husini, I guess. So let's go do that really quickly. Walk over to Husini. He tells you about a bunch of stuff. Blah, 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 blah. Husini, just give me the Primo Gems. You have Husini talk to you for a while. Yada, yada, yada. And then now, you can go to the challenges and go to the first one and claim your 80 Primo Gems. There's actually 80 this time, which is quite interesting, but there are only 5 challenges, so it makes sense. But that is essentially the full summary of the event. This is going to be the only video on this event because it is quite a small, I was going to say bad, but it's quite a small event, so don't need follow-up videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.